Hello and welcome back to Take a Knee with Mike and JD. I'm JD,
And I'm Mike.
and we're going to be talking about Week 10 of the NFL season, about the Packers and the Steelers, and just by happenstance, they played each other this week. So, why don't you explain to the people what happened, Mike?
So this was a very frustrating game. As a Packers fan, it really, apart from the Vikings game, it just feels like carbon copy of the whole season.
It does. What we talked about last week about love in the third quarter, everything like that. It played out nearly exactly what you said it would.
Yeah, and it just in kind of every game, but I mean, the only difference was we got a touchdown in the first half. So like that was a little bit, unless my memory fails me, I think the best we'd done in first quarter, I should say,
Yeah.
was like a field goal. But just kind of you're that close, but then just a series of stuff that just the defense is still a nightmare. And that it's always the most crucial times the defense seems to just lose their shit. It just there was like I thought Love had a really good game. I think if you look at the thing, okay, he had two interceptions, but I think you put that into context. I mean,
That
the
first
first
one was a perfectly thrown ball that Patrick Peterson just made a really good play on. Like if he doesn't tip it with his fingers, I mean Watson's catching that for a leading touchdown.
I agree, but I also think, and this has been a concern I've had with Watson for this whole season. Like I really came into this season thinking Watson's going to have a big year. He like he doesn't compete for the ball. You know what I mean? Like you've got
Yeah.
to
Contested
100%.
catches. You don't see him go for the ball. He kind of waits for it.
Well, yeah, and look, yeah, you're right. Patrick Peterson made a great play there, but real real number one wide receivers one. They okay, he might not get that, but he ensures it's not an interception. You know what I mean? But he doesn't seem to have that. Like I really feel like the problem is Watson is a wide receiver 1B. Like he's not quite he wouldn't be a wide receiver one in any other team. I think potentially he can develop into that,
Right.
but in any other team, he's your wide receiver two. You know what I mean?
He does need he does need another wide receiver that's like as big of or a little bit more of a threat than him because
Mm,
then he will get more looks and things like that. Because a lot of teams I mean, he is right now the Packers' number one receiver, and
yeah.
it was an unfortunate interception because it was tipped and Demonte Casey was just standing there. I mean, it would have any other play it would have probably just been a deflected batted pass, but there just happened to be a Steeler standing there to catch it. So it's just really unfortunate. But watching that, you would like Watson to try to stop and like jump up forward, like kind of try to change the momentum because if he hits Patrick Peterson there, it probably doesn't go up in the air and gets intercepted. Like you said, he at least prevents an interception there, and you guys are still. I don't know if you were in the red zone or right near it, but
Yeah, yeah.
and
So
the last one
that
was like a short Hail Mary kind of thing. He's just getting it to the end zone. So
yeah, like our biggest issue with that one was there is you guys managed to get a timeout in beforehand and then just
did you
load
hear?
up
Did you hear
the
the
end
story
zone.
about that timeout?
No, no.
So Minka Fitzpatrick is hurt. Apparently, on that play, he saw something that was like, we're going to lose. He
Yep.
apparently ran down and told Tomlin, he goes, we need to take a timeout. Like, we need to take a timeout. They're going to score. Like, he saw something there that if this play happens, the Packers are going to win on this play. So he forced the coaches to take a timeout, and then they talked it over and reset, and that's when they changed the defense.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah,
was all
nice.
him. If he doesn't say anything, the Packers probably win that game.
Yep. So I just the defense still sucks. I think like is what I'm seeing with Watson is that I think clearly Devontae leaving has in the development of. I really feel like the whole plan was similar to what the Packers have always done. What happened with Adams, Adams could come in. You have Jordy Nelson as the wide receiver one there until the time that he's ready to take over in that. But there is no veteran wide receiver there to kind of take the pressure off these other guys. It's and they don't think there's a great deal that can be done about that. But look, there were positive signs, but it's just the same old frustrations. Like every week that Joe Barry is still the defensive coordinator is a week too long. I don't get it. It's so frustrating to see other teams, sack their assistant coaches or their head coaches. Like basically identify the problem and go, you know what, we're not waiting till the end of the season. They need to go now. And the Packers never seem to do this. Like I don't get it. Like it's a real thing that always frustrates me, because to me it just says we're happy to accept. Well, look, mediocrity would be good. I would be happy if Joe Barry was mediocre. So you can't even say they're happy to accept mediocrity. But I don't get it. But smarter people than me must know the reason why that is. It is, and look, I probably think the same thing's going to happen this week. I think they'll be in it, chance to win it, and do all the wrong things at crucial times. And I wasn't going to mention it, but I that
backwards
fumble
pass
recovery, that's bullshit. Like I'm so sick of shit like that.
Did they blow it dead as soon as Green Bay picked it up? Because I forget, because basically, at least how I understand it is, if they reviewed it correctly, Green Bay probably wouldn't have been given the touchdown, but they would have been given the ball at like the 7 or something. It depends on if the ref blew the whistle dead when the Packers picked it up, they would have stopped the play. But my point in saying that is, it would be like the most 2023 Packer season that they get that and they're at the 7 and they have a chance to score for a touchdown, and then like TJ Watt strip sacks Jordan Love and the Steelers get the ball right back.
Yeah, maybe, but like I'm just, and like don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that cost us I think there's every chance we get that we still lose. It's just a frustration I have with the refs, because whether or not we shouldn't be hypothesizing about whether Watt would have strip sacked him and it all wouldn't have made. We should as fans get the chance to see that play out, not have coward referees take that away.
And it's like watching the NFL. Obviously, there was a couple games where the Steelers just seemed to get shafted by the refs. And as a fan of a team, you feel like the refs are out to get your team. But like watching a bunch of football this year, it just seems like the refs have gotten worse all around. Like
they're awful.
I was watching highlights even of like 2007-8 games, and it looked like football I know. Like guys were getting hit, there was tackle. Like nowadays I'm watching, I'm like, oh, that's definitely a penalty, or that doesn't get overturned or something like that. It's such a crapshoot of like you really just don't know what they're gonna call or what like usually reviews. It's a whole thing about like beyond a reasonable doubt. Like you have to confirm to flip that or whatever. Now somebody had like a personal camera like right there, and it clearly, like I think it's thrown at like the 10, and it's clearly at like the 9 7/5 or 9.7 yard. Like it's clearly backwards. Now where they want to determine where does the backward pass start, like if it can sort of go backwards, but it was going backwards. And I don't, and like you said, I agree with you saying that doesn't mean that the Packers would have win, because the rest of the game will play out different. We saw the game with that being taken away. If the Packers score there, the Steelers are calling all different plays, the Packers are calling all different plays. So the Steelers could have won by 3 touchdowns after that, or the Packers could have went on to win, by 3 touchdowns. So when people not you saying this, but when you see people on like Twitter or whatever saying like, well, that was 7 points we needed and we would have won, it's not really how it would have went out, or how it would have, gone out, because the game after that would be completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just a frustration that, like, it feels like every week, every game, this happens.
The Packers would have tied it had that extra point not been blocked on Jaden Reed's touchdown. So
yes,
if that's an extra point there, the Packers are at, the Steelers 15 with 4 seconds left. That's a field goal, and we're going into overtime. So there were so many contributing factors to the Packers losing this game. But like you said, the Packers came out. Jordan Love played really well in the third. The Steelers couldn't stop them. They were making big gouge plays. They take the lead, but only with 2 field goals. The Packers didn't capitalize. They had a huge return on the second half kickoff into plus territory, and they couldn't really do much with it, and they had to kick a field goal. You want to see good teams when they're given good field position to take that in for 7. It's a short field. You would hope that you could do that. But the Steelers, like always throughout my life, are a bend don't break defense. They play screen, so they give you passes. And how the defense is constructed right now, their passing and rushing yards allowed are like bottom of the league. Like they're statistically not a good defense in that sense, but they create turnovers. They're like tops in the league in turnovers. So that's what happens is that they bend, they don't break, and they usually cause a turnover in their field or something like that. So it is a funny defense. And people will say, well, if they don't get turnovers, they don't win. Well, yeah, but they continue to get turnovers because that's the type of team that they've built. So they had a bunch of defensive breakdowns. I mean, I think on that Jaden Reed touchdown, it was like 3rd and 16. And they were just throwing at Levi Wallace all game, and they catch a big... Like, that's a check down. Any other team really throws a check down there just to get field position, but the Packers then score a touchdown. So there were points that they shouldn't have scored and points that they should have scored. So it was more how do I want to say this? It was like the most interesting, boring, exciting game. Because like how these two teams are shaped right now. The Steelers scored a touchdown in both their first possessions. The Packers went down and scored one and a field goal. Like there was stuff happening, but it wasn't a great game, I guess, in my estimation. It was good in the first quarter, and then it kind of just like leveled off there, and they just started exchanging field goals.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So, I don't know if the Steelers win this week. I mean, the Packers are getting the Chargers, and the Chargers are an enigma where they can score a bunch of points. They usually just can't stop people. So I think this week for the Packers is, can you now keep up with a relatively good offense in the Chargers? Can you trust Love to continue to tie the game up or take the lead on going back and forth on touchdowns with the Chargers? I saw a lot of stuff that I liked with Love, so you would think in a perfect world they would, but if they're going into a shootout, them and the Steelers aren't a team that can win. So if they face the Chiefs in the playoffs like the Steelers, and they have to score 35 points to win, they're just not constructed like that. So if Love can come out and sling 4 touchdowns next week, I think that would go a long way to building his confidence and the confidence in the team that he is the guy of the future. So,
yep.
And we are playing the Browns, who Deshaun Watson, broken shoulder, he's out. I thought the Steelers would have a better time beating the Steelers if he did play. So they're having Darian Thompson-Robinson, the rookie, come in for the Browns. He lit it up in the preseason. So I feel less confident in the Steelers winning. This Browns defense is great, and now you have a guy who is a rookie but probably doesn't suck at quarterback. So this might be one of those games that the Steelers need to try to keep up, but their offense isn't as good, and the Browns defense is just way too good. So I don't know how I'm feeling. But like
Well,
I told
you'll need to decide within the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll get there. I wanted to talk it over on the podcast first. Like I told you though, Steelers win this week, and then on Monday night the Eagles beat the Chiefs. Your Pittsburgh Steelers are first in the AFC. Like they are a win and a loss away from being
your Pittsburgh Steelers. They're not mine.
Well, I said your Pittsburgh. I was talking about the listeners. You know.
Oh, okay. Steelers. You're assuming there's other fans that are.
That's true.
Steelers fans.
But this team is so frustrating to watch. But we're 6-3, and we're a win and a Chiefs win, an Eagles win, which can happen. I mean, the Eagles are good, and the Chiefs. I think the Eagles are a little bit better than the Chiefs right now. But if that happens, the Pittsburgh Steelers are then in the driver's seat for the bye and the number 1 overall seed, which they will not hold on to. But I just think it would be funny, like nearly 11 weeks into the season, the Steelers are first in the AFC would be bonkers to me.
Absolutely.
And say the Brown. I think the Browns could be that too if the Browns win and the Eagles win. But Baltimore's really shot themselves in the foot with a few of these games that they've lost. They are the division favorite, but they blow it to Cleveland. They kind of blow it to Steelers in their first games. The Ravens should be like 9-1 right now, and they're not. Mm-hmm. So, man,
it's pretty crazy season.
And I felt a lot of people felt like the Steelers would be close to the top of the AFC, but because of the preseason, they played really well. So it wouldn't have surprised people if they continued to play like that and be number 1. But they're playing so weird, and they're somehow still up there. So you really just never know. So anything else you want to get off your chest about that game?
No, I'm done. I'm done with that.
All right, so let's get our picks in here. So the first game is actually tonight. Starts in about 30 minutes. It is the Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go the Ravens because I think they need to win it. You know what I mean? They can't drop 2 divisional games in a row. So I don't know if necessity is a good way to pick on, but that's my pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go Baltimore as well. Cincinnati has been really up and down this whole season, but both of these teams blew winnable games last week, like games they should have won, or had a good chance at winning. But I think Baltimore playing at home, they should beat the Bengals right now. Joe Burrow just hasn't looked as good. Lamar has looked pretty good, so I'll go Baltimore as well.
So next up, we've got Dallas at Carolina.
Dallas. I mean, there's not much else to say. Carolina is a terrible team. Dallas should drop like another 48 points or something in this game, so Dallas.
Agreed. Put me down for that as well.
All right, and the third game of the week is Pittsburgh at Cleveland.
Yeah, look, I'm actually going to take your Steelers. I don't know if this will be, a classic game, but I think you guys get by.
I'm going to trust my gut. I'm going to take Cleveland in this game. I just think that their defense is really good, and they haven't played well in Cleveland the last couple of years. I think they only have like 1 win the last 4 or 5 seasons in Cleveland, or at least that's what it feels like. Every time they go up there, they lose. Now, a lot of those games didn't matter like at the end of the season, but a couple of those games was the Mason Rudolph helmet game. They lost the first game there last year, so I think the storyline would be like Deshaun Watson gets hurt, Cleveland has a rookie come in and shows how much better he is than Deshaun Watson. Did you see what Deshaun Watson's cap hit is for the next 3 years?
Oh, not exactly. I imagine it's horrific.
It's $64 million for the next 3 seasons.
Wow.
So his cap hit this year is $19 million. And clearly the Browns thought he was the missing piece. That's why they traded them those first-round picks. Now, their defense a lot of those guys on the defense that are really good are on expiring rookie contracts that are going to need a lot of money. And now you just put 40 million more onto your cap next year. So they're going to, like, if they don't win a Super Bowl this year, they will probably get worse next year. So they kind of screwed themselves. But regardless, enough of my tangent. I will also take the Browns. Or not also, but I am going to take the Browns.
So next up, we've got Chicago at Detroit, NFC North divisional.
like the Dallas game, Detroit should stomp the Bears right now.
Exactly, man. You are getting all the easy ones. You're getting all the ones. Okay, pretty much the other team would have to all contract COVID too for the. But yes, I agree. Lions.
Okay, so I'll put you down for Lions. So we'll flip it. So I want to, you want to ask? Go ahead and ask me the next game.
Sure. So next up, we've got the LA Chargers at Green Bay.
I am going to take Green Bay.
Bullshit.
I'm going to take Green Bay.
You motherfucker. This is some kind of jinx shit you're doing here. This is fucking voodoo. Sorry, continue. Explain yourself.
No, I think this is a game that might be important to a lot of Packers. They don't want to fall to 3-7. I think Jordan Love will play well, and I'm just not. It's mainly I'm not very impressed by the Chargers because they should be a much better team and up there with the division with the Chiefs, and they just aren't, and they continue to disappoint. So even though they can score points, I'm going to say that they fall to the Packers this week.
Well, I am taking the Packers, but that was just through loyalty. So if that somehow turns out to a correct pick, I'm gonna take that. Like head says the Chargers, heart says the Packers. So I will stick with the Packers, but I was shocked by your response. So maybe I'm being too pessimistic.
All right, next game is Arizona at Houston.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna go the Texans. It feels really weird to be picking the Texans for so long. That was the easy pick. That was okay, who are the Texans playing? They're going to win, but I'm going to take the Texans.
Yeah, they really turned it around. They're one of these young teams that are like 1 year ahead of their projected rebuild. So they're like winning now, but they should be a lot better next year with all this experience, with all these draft picks stocked up and used on high quality picks. So to see them playing this well right now as basically all rookies or second year guys is pretty promising. So I will also take Houston. Kyler Murray is back. They came back against Atlanta, but I don't think Atlanta is Houston. I think Houston is better than Atlanta, so I will also pick Houston.
Cool. So next up we got Tennessee at Jacksonville.
Jacksonville got absolutely stomped last week by San Francisco, but Tennessee just isn't a very good team. So I am going to take Jacksonville to rebound and lengthen their division lead.
I'm also taking Jacksonville for much the same reasons. I think, sometimes, I don't think the Titans are an overly good team, and I think when you kind of have a beatdown like that, it's a bit of a reality check moment, and I think a lot of times teams, unless they're coming up against a team that's just that much better than them, that's kind of a bit, look yourself in the mirror and go, all right, let's go out there and make up. So I'm going Jaguars.
All right, next game is Las Vegas at Miami.
Miami. Absolutely.
It's funny. Between the two, Las Vegas is the hotter team with changing of coaching and kind of coming back and winning games and stuff like that, but they were playing the two New York teams who are ass.
Yes.
So...
Well, that's it. They're playing really shit teams, and... I think you see a lot of teams, especially, obviously things were not good at the Raiders with Josh McDaniels. And I think a lot of times when you see that, you remove that, you see a pretty steep turnaround because, the team are out of excuses. You've kind of been saying internally the whole time, is this guy, well, now this guy's gone, you look pretty fucking stupid if you're still shit. And you motivated because you've got old mate in there. Sorry, I can't recall the assistant head, not assistant head coaches, the interim head coach's name. But
Pierce.
He seems like he's a really good, motivated, that kind of stuff. That only lasts for so long. You know what I mean? If you're a shit team, you can only redline and perform above your station for so long on the back of that. So, and the Dolphins are good.
Yes, the Dolphins are good and they're playing at home. The Raiders are they're mediocre. They're like right around a 500, a little bit less than a 500 team. But like I said, they beat the Giants, who are terrible, and they beat a pretty good defense in the Jets, but the Jets offense cannot do anything, especially with Zach Wilson. So I will also be taking Miami.
Cool. So next up, we've got the New York Giants at Washington.
The Commanders. I'll take Washington. Giants suck. Don't have a quarterback. The Commanders are an okay team. They came back and scored late against the Seahawks, only to give up the game-winning field goal with seconds left. I think the Commanders are, I wouldn't say a good team, but they're not a bad team. So the Giants are a bad team. So I will take the Commanders.
Yep, I'm taking them as well. Same reasoning.
All right, next game is Tampa Bay at San Francisco.
Look, I'm going to take the 49ers. I'm not going to say hopefully because I don't like the 49ers, but hopefully for them, that win last week will take some momentum and that kind of thing. And I don't really know what to make of the Buccaneers. Certainly not going to pick them.
Yeah, the 49ers, Purdy came back and played much better than he did during the losing streak. Tampa Bay is a weird enigma. I mean, Baker Mayfield is playing well, and they're losing. So, again, Baker Mayfield is a loser. And, again, I don't hate the guy. He got screwed out of Cleveland. He's a loser. So, he can perform well, but he doesn't really help his team win, basically. So, I will take San Francisco as well.
So, now the other New York team, the Jets at the Bills.
Buffalo, Josh Allen has just regressed so bad this season. But then again, like we just said, the Jets don't really have an offense. Unless the Jets can come out and just bull rush over Buffalo's defense, I don't really think that they have much of a chance. But it would be wild to me if they lose a second game in a row to, like a home game in a row, to a team that they should have pretty much demolished. So I will take Buffalo, but I don't feel great about it. But it's more so the fact that they're playing a team that doesn't have an offense, more so than how they're playing.
Yeah, look, I honestly don't know. Like, this is flip of a coin stuff. I still am so surprised by the way Josh Allen's playing, the way the Bills are playing. Look, I'm going to take the Bills. I'm concerned about that bit just because, the Jets suck, but their defense is pretty good. So it could be one of those ones where they just defend enough to get the win, even though their offense sucks. But I mean, Buffalo's offense sucks as well. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm talking myself out of it, but I'm going to stick with the Bills.
Even playing bad, Josh Allen is better than Zach Wilson. That's I think what you could say.
Exactly. Yeah, that's more succinct.
Next, we have Seattle at the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah. So look, I think Stafford's back in this one. If I read that correctly before, I think that should be enough for the Rams to get over the Seahawks.
Yeah, they've played well when Matt Stafford has been in this year. They got crushed by the Packers when they didn't have a quarterback. But let's see.
Hey.
Matt Stafford is progressing.
Just say crushed by the Packers.
What?
Just say crushed by the Packers. We don't need to add in the no quarterback.
Oh, right. Sorry. I was just checking it when you said that. So it says Matt Stafford it will likely to start for the Rams. The Seahawks, Geno Smith has basically been coming up clutch for them. I think I'm going to stick with Seattle. I think they're the better team right now. But this is a game that I think should be good if Stafford plays. but I think Seattle will probably edge out just like they did the Commanders last week. So you're going Rams, and I am going Seattle. All right, and so then the Sunday night game is Minnesota at Denver. Just say it. Just say it. Just say it.
I'm going to pick the Vikings.
I'm gonna make that my new ringtone when you message me. It's just gonna go. I'm gonna pick the Vikings, and it's gonna be great.
See, if we didn't swap around the order in this earlier, you would have been answering first, and I could have just said ditto.
Yeah, exactly.
We could have moved on.
Ditto.
Arsehole. And finally, we have Philadelphia at Kansas City.
I am going to take the road team right now in the Eagles. I think they're playing pretty good. The Chiefs don't feel as big of a juggernaut that they have been the last 5 seasons. They're still probably the best team in the AFC, but they just don't feel like, Goliath right now. So I will take Philadelphia winning the Super Bowl rematch this week.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles as well, and I agree what you say. Kansas City are still good, but they've lost that aura. You know what I mean? For so long there, it was fuck, we're playing Kansas City, we're going to lose. Or pretty much it was just, if they were to lose, it would be a massive upset. Something crazy would have happened in the game, but they definitely don't. They're still good, but they've lost that, that aura they had about them. Which teams do. You can't stay like that forever, because success means you lose players. So.
Yeah, so if they they obviously could get back there, but it's just that kind of thing where they had all these good players for so long, a lot of cap hits and stuff, so some people left. They will be that again as long as Patrick Mahomes is there, and they try to replenish this lineup. But I mean, you look, they just lost to the Broncos, and they only won by a touchdown against the Dolphins, so it's they just haven't been, and they barely beat the Vikings when the Vikings were playing bad, I might add. But I think Philadelphia should go in and win, and maybe it'll be some sort of solace for them to beat the Chiefs. But wouldn't it be funny if they lose on a last second off defensive or a holding call again, and the Chiefs just score to win?
I can see it happening.
All right, so that was our picks for Week 11. Please leave your picks down below and who you think is going to win. Let us know how your team is doing. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. But thank you for listening. Hope you guys have a nice night.
Thanks, guys.